Hi, I'm Candice Stringham, and this is JessicaSprague.com, and today we're going to be talking about our new external flash class called A Flash of Brilliance. So we wanted to post this video on the class page so that anyone who's considering taking this class would know what equipment they will need. And the very first thing you need is a DSLR. So whether you have a Canon or a Nikon, you're welcome in the class. For this class specifically, we're not accepting Sony or any Olympus or any brands outside of Canon and Nikon. And that's simply because we will actually have in the videos Canon's and Nikon's flashes so that you can see exactly how to set the settings. That's something a lot of people are requested from Shoot, so that's going to be in this class, and we're excited about that. So have your DSLR, and then the other important thing to note is that you have to have taken Shoot or be really familiar with your manual settings on your camera. If you're not comfortable with those settings, practice some more, get comfortable first, because we won't be talking a lot about exposure or things like that having to do with the camera. We'll be focused on the flash and the settings and how to use your flash with your camera in manual. So be sure that you feel really comfortable with that. Now the next thing you're going to need is a flash, and an external flash, not the pop-up flash on your camera, because we all know from Shoot that that's not great. But we're going to use these external flashes, and I'm going to tell you about the different features external flashes have in this video and which flashes I recommend. So the first thing you want to look for in a flash is that it tilts and swivels. So a tilt means it can go forwards, it can go straight up on some of them, and even go slightly back. But you want that so that you can bounce it off the ceiling, and we're going to talk about bouncing light a lot in the class. The swivel is when your flash goes from side to side. And on good flashes, it'll go all the way backward, so it can bounce off walls behind you onto your subject. So look for a tilt and a swivel. If it doesn't have that, then it's just really similar to having a point and shoot on your camera. So external flashes, even though they may have more power, but they don't tilt and shift, aren't great, so you don't want that. The next thing you want to consider is the power of the flash, or how far the flash can illuminate a subject so that you can get a good exposure. And that's really important if you're doing something like basketball, where your subject is pretty far away from you when you're in the stands. But it is possible to get photographs like that with an external flash. You can tell how powerful a flash is by the guide number. And some flashes actually have their guide number on them. For example, for Canon flashes, they list the guide number first. So this is 580, but the guide number is actually 58. So that's how you can tell how powerful it is. Now, the 580 is Canon's most powerful flash, and it will shoot about 95 feet and still give you a good exposure. That's if you have a lot of light or walls to bounce light off of. And we will get more into guide numbers in the actual class. So when you sign up for the class, you'll have a PDF that talks all about guide numbers, how to calculate how far a flash can actually give you a good exposure at. So the next thing we want to talk about is actually if your flash can zoom. So just like lenses zoom in and out, your flash hopefully can zoom in and out as well. So if you're using a wide angle lens, then the light from your flash will actually come out wider. And if you're zooming in, you can actually zoom in that flash so it's covering less width, which gives it more power. So you want to look for a flash that has a zoom. Okay, so that was just a few of the features that you can find in external flashes, and we're going to cover even more in our equipment PDF inside the class. But let's just get right into the flashes that we recommend you buy for this class and for use in general if you're interested in having an external flash. So we're going to start out with Canon. There are 3 Canon flashes that work really well. The first is the 580 EX2, and that's Canon's most powerful flash. so it's also the most expensive, but it covers the most distance and it has the most features. This is the flash I'm going to be using in the class, but the settings on the other two flashes are very similar, so you'll find them in the same locations. Now the second flash is the 430 EX2. It's got similar features and it's just slightly less powerful than the 580. And then the third flash is a new flash from Canon. It's the 320, and the 320 obviously has less power. It's the lower number, but it has a lot of great features, and you can also use it as a modeling light, which means it has a continuous light that turns on, which is a really cool new feature that it has. So any of those three flashes for Canon is going to be really great for the class and really great for you to use. Now we're going to talk about Nikon flashes, and Nikon has two flashes that will work for this class. The first is the 700, and it's the lower end of the two flashes, the SB700. It's not quite as powerful as their higher end flash, but again, for most of us, this is going to be perfectly acceptable. It has all the features, the tilt and swivel. It's a really great little flash. And then the SB900 is just a step up from that. It has a little bit more power and one or two more features, and either of those flashes will work, but I'm going to be using the SB700 in all the videos. So if you want to follow along exactly, then that's the flash you would want to pick up. We'll post all the links to these flashes below this video, so you can click right through and order them if you don't want to do any of your own research. So those were just a few tips on what to look for when you're buying an external flash. But we hope to share even more tips with you on how to use your flash if you take a flash of brilliance here at JessicaSprague.com.